What is the ego, and how exactly do I dissolve it? Let's discuss. The way I see it, the ego is the character that you're playing for this lifetime. The ego is you, Adam, Amanda, Jacob, whatever your name is, whoever this being is. My ego is Aiden, hello. Whoever you've identified with in this lifetime. For me, growing up, I guess the best way to do this is by explaining where I came from. I grew up in my family. I have my brothers, my parents. I went to school. I grew up in Vancouver. I went to university for chemistry, and then after that I went to school for sound design and, all these things. But when people ask me who I am, I'm not any of those things. Sure, I studied sound design, and sure, I love learning about spirituality and other concepts and exploring knowledge and diving deeper, but those things don't define who I am. Ultimately, who I am is just the presence. The ego is everything I attach to that. Everything beyond presence is ego. As soon as I say, well, I am this, well, I am attaching something using my presence to myself, creating a sense of identity, which then becomes my ego. And sometimes when we become so rigid in our beliefs and we're raised in a way that has us going, this is who I am and nothing can change that, well, that's when we become so heavily attached to the ego that we don't even realize that our ways of interpreting the world are infinite and completely relative. Just because I see the world one way doesn't necessarily mean that you see the world the same way, and that's just the nature of reality. That's just how life works when we're in this sort of conscious creation. Just the fact that we are in a conscious creation, to me, is mind-blowing sometimes. And life is just this incredible thing that for some reason we don't really dive that deep into sometimes, and we just accept it as what we're told. And the ego is something that tends to become what we're told. We grow up, and when we are given a name and we're given a family and we're indoctrinated into a religion and we're told all these things, our ego brings these on and says, this is who I am, this is who I am, and anything that challenges that is dangerous. Because, the ego is just trying to keep itself safe. The ego desires safety. The ego wants to feel comfortable, safe, happy. But sometimes you can't find happiness in the ego when you're so rigid in your way of thought. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to abandon your personal sense of identity. Because who you are in your presence, there's still an element of you in your ego. But sometimes when the ego gets so caught up in all of these identifications with the outer world, the ego forgets everything that it is within the inner world. And that is the spiritual path, is bringing it back into the inner world and realizing that everything you identify with outside of yourself tends to just be the ego's way of trying to fit in or, exist in this world. But that's the beauty of stepping into creativity and also dissolving the ego, is that you then start to realize that no, who you are is whoever you desire to create yourself as being. You're simply presence, and then you can take whatever you want, really, and attach meaning or whatever else to this presence. That's the beauty of the creative way of life. An important aspect of this is aligning your intentions with the intent of the universe, because we were created. We didn't just get here. This part of it goes into a bit of a deeper topic, so I won't really explore that at the moment, but we're here, and we're here to create and finish the creation. There was a creator that created this, and now our goal is to help finish the creation. But in order to do that, we can't be so stuck in the ego, because the ego believes that it has to create for itself in order to survive. But there's something much greater than us. There's something much greater than our egos that exists, and that's the literal creation in the universe. So when you're dissolving the ego, what you're actually doing is disidentifying from the beliefs of this world in order to become a being that is then identified with the flow of the universe. Instead of making it about yourself and how you survive in modern society, you begin to make it of the universal creator. Now, it's pretty in-depth, that's pretty intense, but that just starts one step at a time. That starts with looking at your beliefs and seeing what is holding you back. Dissolving the ego is a process of looking at what you believe and seeing how it affects you. If you have a belief that everybody that is X equals Y, and you notice that having that belief actually harms you more than it helps you, then maybe that's something that you need to start dissolving. Maybe that's a belief pattern that is, generational, that you're starting to go like, whoa, this doesn't actually benefit me or the people around me. Maybe holding on to this belief is something that I should work through. And that begins the series of dissolving the ego until you become one with the creator. By stepping back down to presence and not identifying with anything in the world, you just go back to your presence, to I am, to just who you are. So, what are your ways of dissolving your ego? Do you have any methods? Do you have any techniques of looking at things that don't benefit you and then maybe you journal them down and then burn it or something? What sort of things do you do that help you process the egoic beliefs that hold you back from stepping into your true divine self? Like, comment, subscribe, get engaged, get involved with the Studio Raphael community. I'm super grateful to have you here. My name is Aiden, and yeah, let's just keep learning, let's keep growing, let's keep exploring, and that's what this is all about. So thanks for being here. Take care. Wishing you all the best, and yeah, we'll see you around the studio.